Apply this oil to your legs and wait till day 5. You won't believe what happened to Mary. Let me tell you a little story. It's not dramatic, it won't make headlines, but it's one of those quiet stories that stays with you. It's about my friend Mary. She's 73. Now, Mary's not famous, she doesn't like attention. But in our little circle, she's the one everyone looks to for strength. She raised 3 kids, helped her husband through 2 surgeries, volunteered at the local library well into her 60s. The kind of woman who was always on her feet, always in motion. She didn't sit still long enough for her tea to cool. But about a year ago, I started noticing something. Mary moved slower. She stood up from her chair a little differently, using her hands, like she didn't quite trust her legs anymore. She stopped coming on our evening walks. At first, she blamed it on the weather, or errands, or just needing to rest. But I knew Mary. She wasn't resting, she was struggling. One afternoon, as we sat on the porch watching the leaves turn, she said it out loud, quietly but honestly. "My legs just don't feel like mine anymore." She said they ached constantly. That walking from the kitchen to the living room made her feel like she was dragging weights behind her. Her ankles swelled up by evening, and sleep, forget it. The cramps would come without warning. Some nights, she'd get out of bed and just pace the hallway, hoping they'd pass. She tried what most of us would try, those cooling creams from the drugstore, a magnesium supplement someone recommended, stretching before bed. Some things helped a little, but nothing really stuck. And that's when she found something unexpected. She didn't call it a solution. Not at first. Mary's not the type to believe in magic, but she did start something new. A small ritual. Every night before bed, she'd take a little bottle of oil, one she'd found tucked in her pantry, of all places, and massage it gently into her legs. That's all. No grand treatment, no expensive plan. Just her hands, the oil, and a few quiet minutes to herself. And within a week, something changed. Her words, not mine. I got out of bed and didn't feel that sinking weight pulling me back down. She didn't say it with drama or pride. She said it with wonder, like her body was slowly remembering how to move again. And me, I just listened. Because sometimes that's what friends do. Can one oil change everything? Now, before I tell you after 60, life shifts. It's not just about staying young or fit. It's about keeping the freedom to move without fear, to trust your body again, to feel steady, grounded, light. We don't talk about it enough, how losing mobility slowly chips away at your confidence. You stop reaching for things on the top shelf. You second-guess the stairs. You stop walking just for pleasure. And that's exactly what Mary had started to do. But this tiny act, just rubbing her legs with a bit of oil each night, was more than physical. It was, in her words, a way of reconnecting with parts of myself I had started to ignore. So what was the oil? Simple. Rosemary oil. Yes, rosemary, the same herb you might sprinkle on roasted potatoes. Turns out, rosemary's more than just a kitchen staple. It's been used for centuries to relieve muscle pain, improve circulation, and awaken tired limbs. The oil, made by distilling its leaves and flowers, has this sharp, fresh scent that clears the mind as much as the body. Mary said the first time she used it, she felt a cool tingle, then a warm easing in her calves like her skin exhaled. She didn't expect much, but that feeling alone was worth repeating the next night, and the next. By the 4th night, the swelling was less. By the 6th, the cramps had nearly stopped. And after a full week, she joined me again on our walk around the block. Slowly, yes. Carefully, but not with hesitation, with hope. Of course, I asked her how she used it. She was kind enough to show me, and I'm going to pass that on to you. But before I do, I just want to pause here and say something that's been on my mind. If you're someone who's always taken care of others, if you've spent decades putting your body second to everything else, if your legs don't feel like they used to, and you've started believing that's just how it is now, I hope Mary's story reminds you, it's not too late to reconnect. Not with big promises or flashy fixes, but with one small habit, one quiet act of care, one oil, 1 week. Because it wasn't the oil that changed Mary's life. It was the moment she said, "I'm going to try anyway." In the next part, I'll show you exactly how she used rosemary oil, the method, the timing, and how it became a little ritual of peace at the end of her day. It's simple but powerful. And if you've ever felt like your legs no longer belong to you, You might find, just like Mary did, that they've been waiting for you all along. So what exactly did Mary do? Well, it started small. She didn't treat it like a chore. She didn't set an alarm or write it on a to-do list. It was just something she looked forward to a few minutes each night, alone, with no pressure, no audience, just her and her legs. She told me the best time to use the oil is after a warm shower when the skin is clean, the pores are open, and the muscles are relaxed. But even on nights when she didn't bathe, she'd make sure her legs were clean and dry before she began. She kept the bottle on her nightstand so she wouldn't forget, and so it became part of her wind-down routine. She'd warm it gently in her hands first, never cold. It's a small thing, she said, but that little bit of warmth makes it feel like care, not treatment. Then she'd take a few drops, 5 or 6 was enough, and begin at the ankles, working upward in small, slow circles. Not fast, not rough, just steady, upward motions, as if she was encouraging her blood to keep flowing, reminding her legs they were still alive, still hers. From the ankles to the calves, up behind the knees, then the front of the shins, always moving toward the heart. When she reached her thighs, she'd slow down even more, using long gliding motions, pressing gently, almost like she was hugging her own legs with her hands. She wasn't rushing. She wasn't just rubbing oil. It became a conversation, she told me once, between me and the parts of me I've ignored. Each leg took about 5 to 7 minutes. She said the first few nights, she felt a little silly, but then she noticed something unexpected. Her breathing slowed down, her thoughts settled, and the quiet heaviness that had followed her all day finally lifted. It wasn't just her legs that felt lighter, it was her mind. She kept it up for 7 straight days, applying the oil twice a day, once in the morning, and again at night before bed. And here's what happened, step by step. Day 1, she felt the cool warmth, the scent filled the room, her skin softened, she slept a little better. Day 2, her legs didn't swell as much by evening. She noticed her shoes felt looser, even though she hadn't done anything different. Day 3, she walked to the mailbox and back without stopping. Not fast, she laughed, but it didn't feel like dragging bricks. Day 4, her skin felt smoother. The little red patches on her shins faded. The cramps at night, gone. Day 5, she said something I'll never forget. I feel like I trust my legs again. Day 6, she stood for almost half an hour, just tending to her garden. She hadn't done that in months. Day 7, we walked together, slowly, side by side, and she smiled the whole time. Mary's massage ritual, how it worked. Was it the oil? Yes. But also, no. The oil helped. Rosemary oil does improve circulation, ease muscle tension, and reduce inflammation. Studies have shown that its compounds stimulate blood flow in the limbs, calm nerve endings, and even help regulate cramping in older adults. But what made the biggest difference? It was the act of caring. The decision to show up for herself each day, even for 5 minutes. Mary didn't expect miracles, but what she got was even better connection. She also shared a few extra tips that made her ritual more effective. Step 1, elevate your legs. After the massage, just 10 to 15 minutes with your legs slightly raised, using pillows or a wedge, helps your veins do less work and gives your legs a true sense of rest. Step 2, use a warm cloth. On days when her legs felt extra tight, she'd place a warm, damp towel over them for 5 minutes after massaging. That combination of heat and rosemary helped the oil sink deeper into the muscles. Step 3, breathe while you massage. She found that inhaling through her nose and exhaling through her mouth slowly, rhythmically turned the massage into a meditative moment. It calmed her nervous system, and that calm lasted even after she lay down. Step 4, no distractions, no TV, no phone, no background noise, just her hands, and that soft scent in the air. It's the only time of day, she told me, where I'm not doing something for someone. It's just for me. If you're wondering, can this really work for me? I want to be honest with you. Every body is different. Mary's results came quickly, but not everyone's will. If you have circulatory issues, limited mobility, or chronic pain, your journey may take longer. But from what I've seen, the body remembers. Even if it's been years since you truly felt your legs, they haven't forgotten you. They've just been waiting for you to come back. Let me share one last thing Mary told me that stayed with me. We talk so much about loving our hearts, our minds, our souls, but these legs, they've carried me through every season of life. They've held me steady through grief, joy, fear, and laughter. The least I can do now is love them back. In part 3, day-by-day transformation with Rosemary Oil, I'll tell you what Mary did after those first 7 days, how she maintained her progress, and I'll introduce you to a few other natural oils she discovered, each one with its own special gift. Because once you begin reconnecting with your legs, you don't want to stop. You want to keep walking with joy, with ease, with confidence, and you can. Mary didn't stop after those 7 days. She could have. Honestly, many people would have. Once the pain eases and the legs feel lighter, it's easy to slip back into old habits to forget the small rituals that got you there. But not Mary. When something works, she told me, you don't abandon it, you honor it, you let it become part of your life. And that's exactly what she did. She continued her nightly ritual, sometimes a little shorter, sometimes a little longer, but always intentional. She said it was no longer just about her legs, it had become a kind of conversation with her own body, a quiet way of saying, I still care about you. She also started exploring other oils, not to replace rosemary, but to complement it, to give her legs what they needed on different days. 1. Arnica oil for swelling and soreness. There were days when Mary stood longer than usual in the kitchen, in the garden, or just chatting with neighbors, and by evening, her calves would tighten. That's when she turned to arnica oil. Arnica is made from a flower, and it's known for reducing inflammation, easing muscle fatigue, and helping with bruises or tenderness. She didn't use it every day, only when needed. It's like calling in backup, she said, for the days when rosemary needs a little help. Important note, arnica isn't meant for broken skin, and some people with sensitive skin should test a little first. 2. Lavender oil for rest and relaxation. Some nights sleep didn't come easy, even with better legs. On those nights, she'd add a drop or two of lavender oil into her massage mix. The scent alone seemed to soften the air in her room. It eased her thoughts, slowed her breathing, and her legs, already more relaxed, let go even more. Lavender has a calming effect on muscles and the mind. Mary would smile and say, when your legs and your brain are both tired, lavender speaks to both. 3. Horse chestnut oil for heaviness and vein health. As Mary grew more confident, she shared her routine with friends, one of whom struggled with varicose veins and that dragging, heavy leg feeling. That's when she discovered horse chestnut oil, a natural remedy often used in Europe to improve circulation and strengthen vein walls. It's not for everyone, especially those on blood thinners or with certain medical conditions. But for Mary's friend, and eventually for Mary herself, it helped on days when her legs just felt sluggish. They used it sparingly, mixing it into a base oil, massaging gently, and following it with leg elevation. Her blend. Eventually, Mary developed her own little mix, which she'd rotate depending on how her legs felt. 2 tablespoons of almond oil, base, 3 drops rosemary, 2 drops lavender if it was a tense day, 1 to 2 drops arnica or horse chestnut if she felt sore or heavy. Warm between the palms. Apply with intention. Breathe deeply. Always upward strokes. Always love. But here's what moved me most. It wasn't the oils or the technique or even the results. It was what I saw happening to Mary as a person. She began to move differently, not just easier but prouder. Her pace slowed, but with purpose. She stood straighter, looked people in the eye again, laughed more. She didn't talk about healing. She talked about reclaiming herself. I didn't realize how much I'd abandoned my body, she said, until I felt what it's like to come back home to it. And I realized, maybe that's what aging gracefully really means. Not pretending nothing changes, but learning how to change with it. Staying in relationship with your body, even when it aches, even when it slows, and treating it not as a problem, but as a companion who's carried you a long, long way. So here's what I've learned from Mary, and what I want to offer you. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You don't need a miracle cure or a complex plan. You just need one quiet moment each day to reconnect, to touch the parts of yourself you've ignored, and to say, I still see you. I still care. Because if you've been walking this world for 60, 70, even 80 years, your legs deserve to be honored. Before you go, a gentle invitation. If you've been sitting with tired legs, if you've stopped trusting your own stride, if you've said things like, I guess this is just how it is now, then I invite you to do what Mary did. Find a small bottle of rosemary oil, Warm it between your palms, sit somewhere quiet, and give your legs 5 minutes of your full attention. That's it. No pressure, no performance, just one gesture of love repeated daily. And who knows, maybe, like Mary, you'll find yourself walking down the street again, head high, heart soft, legs steady, and smiling not because everything's perfect, but because you came back to yourself. Thank you for listening to Mary's story. I hope you carry it with you and make it your own. Until next time, walk gently, care deeply, and never stop reconnecting.